the gavel at it. When I'm around, he's got to slam it down.
Well, he's getting your phone.
Yeah.
All right.
We were talking about the smoking policy earlier this morning, and we thought, well, we just hand Gene a cigarette.
Well, we're at 1:01. We'll call the meeting to order. Building and Planning, May 27th, 1 p.m. Thank you all for being here. For those that weren't here earlier, hope you had a good weekend. Approval of agenda action item, page 1. Changes need to be issued, or we get a motion as such.
Motion to approve.
Get a second. Yeah, with that. Thank you, John. Okay, do we need to do a roll? Not everyone's here. Gene, your vote?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Thank you. Okay. Public comment, item 3. Seeing none. Okay. Move on. Item D, approval of minutes from April 29th meeting. Did everyone review pages 2 and 3? We have any changes need to be made or accept as presented?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Ross. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you, John. Okay, Gene, your vote?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Blythe?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Okay. Bob? It's all on you, sir.
Okay, so on the master plan or seismic project, where we're at is the consultants consolidated the long format of the brick grant down into smaller ones that, because of word limitations in the HMGP grant application. I reviewed all of those, made some changes, and have forwarded all those to the county, lady at the county who actually has to input them. And so I also forwarded her about 60 documents to attach as backup to all the requests, things that we've presented. And I spoke with her, and she's going to have all of that uploaded by end of week this week. At which point it will be reviewed by the consultants and gone through to, and if they have any changes, requests, or whatever, to otherwise, if everything looks good, then it'll go ahead and be submitted. So I suspect hopefully by the end of next week, I'll have a pretty good idea if the grant is ready to apply. In fact, I think it's end of this week. The notice of intent for this particular go around has to be in. It's the grant cycle for HMGP of DR 4856. We're ahead of the game because your NOI has to be in. I actually went to an all-day seminar on a whole bunch of other people that are putting in information. Actually, it was about becoming part of the county's hazard mitigation plan. And a lot of them are applying for this same grant. But they can only put in their NOI like this week. And then after that, then they do the application and all of that. They stated in the meeting, people from Cal OES, that there's now about 700 some odd $1 million. The big advantage is that ours is going to be fast tracked through and probably go through first. So say there's a fair chance that it could happen.
Big question. Ours is primarily remodeled earthquake.
Yes.
Are we going to have an issue there?
No. Hazard mitigation grant program is exactly that, for hazard mitigation. And all sorts, you can mitigate hazards many different ways. We're submitting that the hazard is earthquake, and we're upgrading the building so that it will not have issues in earthquake. So it fits the criteria for the
Okay,
grant.
okay, as long as
Yeah.
it, because
Yeah.
probably 80% of the grant is remodel, and it's all but.
Right, but you can't disassociate the remodel with the
Okay.
seismic
Okay,
part
all
of
right,
the
all
work.
right.
And they all agree that, so. Anyway, so, I did find out that we don't want to try and become part of the hazard mitigation. The counties
Adding us to the hazard.
adding us to their plan. What it would take is we have to hire a consultant. We have to spend a whole bunch of time. We have to do an entire study of all the hazards in this valley and come up with a plan. Long written plan of how we're going to reduce the risks. And then that plan has to be submitted through Cal OES to FEMA. And once FEMA approves it, then it comes back as approved, our hazard mitigation plan. And then the county would then take us into their master plan, and we would become one of the listed entities.
And we can do this process without going through that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
By being a sub-applicant.
Because the county's applying for it instead of us.
Okay.
Which is what we've done the last two times also.
Okay.
But that's what I found out that's what it takes. It would take probably 1 to 2 years.
5 years.
And it could be a huge job.
Yeah.
Just to be able to be on the list. And then you have to rewrite that plan every 5 years. So just, if we thought we had future projects down the road where we would want to go after grants, then it would be worth it.
How much is the one we're going for now?
Actually, the one we're going for now would award us $30 million and some change.
Oh.
Which is actually less than the other one, which was 32. The big advantage is that the brick grant paid 60% and we paid 30, well, thereabouts, 60, 66, 30, 33 or whatever. So our part was 9.6 million. Now because of the timing, you can't submit costs that happened before the NOI, and our NOI happened last week. So we lose the 1.3 million
For the architect.
for the architect and testing and all the things we've done up to this point. But the HMGP grant is 75-25.
Okay, so we're ahead.
So we're ahead, or actually about $600,000.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, Greenbaum will give us our money back.
I'm sure you would.
Send him a damn invoice.
Many years ago, I actually got an architect to pay on errors and omissions on a set of plans where he screwed up. It's not very common. You can do that. Anyway, so actually our portion is going to be like 6 point something million.
Wow.
Instead of the 9.
It's better than 9.
But we eat the 1.3. So when you add it in there, we're still ahead.
We're still
Yeah, still ahead.
If this grant goes through, we are still ahead.
Is there room for error where if it actually costs more during the process of getting the money, that they will help account?
No, it's the same thing. And that is when we put this out to bid, which was one reason to have put it out a while back. But then again, it becomes such an old bid that it's no longer viable. So it's one of those things where when we put it out to bid, which my suggestion is we put it out to bid, this fall or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we get our costs. And, and if it comes in that, we have to kick in another couple of million, that's doable. But if it's 10 more million, then we have to decide, what we're going to do. Not knowing where the construction cost is going to come in. Again, it was professionally costed, but things have gone crazy since then. So it's just, there's still some unknowns.
Can I ask Tim about it?
Yeah.
Okay. If none of this happens, we have asked our finance guy to tell us what we're capable of doing and at what interest rate and everything. It's been going on for about 5 months. He refuses to show his face here and tell us. Is there a reason why?
Which finance guy are we talking?
Gary Hicks, you're talking about?
Yeah.
He was here.
He was here,
He was here 6 months ago, maybe, and we actually have a meeting scheduled with him.
He was supposed to tell the board what, can we finance it? Are we in position to finance it?
He says we are.
Well, he says we are. Why don't you tell the board and tell us what the interest rate would be?
Well, we're gonna have
How
a
much
meeting.
we could borrow?
We're waiting for the meeting with him.
Right.
Well, and
Well,
here,
when is it?
He wanted to schedule it. He just he sent me.
Yeah, I saw an email that just came through.
So
Well, we should know.
But Gene, he could tell us what the interest rates are today. What are they gonna be next
Well-
April?
Well, and we got a basic idea where we are now. I don't think we could service any debt. I think that's why he's high.
No,
that's not-
Okay.
that's not true.
well, here's the thing. If we get the grant, we don't have to serve.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. If we
Right.
don't.
But if we don't, then we're gonna have to, and hopefully we don't have to wait the whole 11 months or whatever that could take for the approval. I'm hoping this fast track gets us an answer a whole lot sooner. I hope so. But
Well, and the option two, the other issue too is, we talked about it from the perspective of, if it doesn't go through, we've got X amount of money that we've put together already that we're sitting on that we were gonna put towards that project. And we decide what pieces of that project we can afford to do, and we go and do those. At least then we can demonstrate to the state, hey, we're doing what we can to meet compliance. But, because of the state issues and all this other stuff, federal issues that have come down the pike, we just can't finish, but we'd be way farther ahead than any of the other hospitals in town here from that perspective.
Hmm.
So, the point is that, yeah, there are things we can do to help mitigate some of the seismic issues that we have. And so, I think there's lots of opportunity to do that with what we've got already, plus what may come in between now and then, so.
We just have to slow the project down a little.
You just slow it
As
down.
Somebody comes in, we can cover it ourselves. Hopefully.
so we'd have to slow it down and we would probably have to end up financing a chunk of it.
Or then we go to the public, one or the other,
Yeah.
So regardless of the seismic part of it,
It would be so wrong to go to the public when we're not operating a hospital when we could at a profit. Tim, you know that.
Of course,
And then
I understand.
the pharmacy, skilled nursing, and now we're starting to lose money over there.
so one of the consultants at Turn Health Systems, he was one of the guys who did the strategic plan. I don't know if you participated in that. I didn't either. But in a follow-up meeting with that, this guy sits as an advisor to HCI and sits on some advisory board for HCI. So I was bending his ear about the seismic requirement, saying, make these requirements go away. Nobody can afford to do it. Let's just live with the risk. And we're actually talking about it.
John and I were on a conference call with the critical access hospital CEOs just a little bit ago. And that was the big issue, because one of the things that's coming down now is they're really clamping down. I mean, CMS is now going out and challenging critical access hospitals regarding their mileage to the next facility. And so they've already noticed Santa Ynez Hospital, which is a part of the Cottage Hospital system, that they've revoking their critical access hospital.
What did the highway get better or something?
They're using different roads to calculate the mileage. Glenn Medical Center just was notified the same thing, that they're revoking their critical access status and so forth. So they're seeing a couple of these. Bear Mountain has gotten a letter. They're refuting it. They're challenging it and so forth. So, and they're going, how much money do you think you're going to save as a result of doing that?
Yeah.
You're going to end up closing. Glenn's most likely going to close.
Right. Where are people going to go? Sacramento?
But
Right.
we're safe, right? We're so far from any.
We are, yeah, we made it, and because of the mountain roads and everything else that.
Are we using the Lions Trail as our route?
Only in bad weather.
So anyway, but the bottom line, I think is, again, they were talking about, just the financial challenges that are hitting the hospitals. Because right now, we got an update on the California budget, where that's going, and the cuts they're looking to make there, and obviously that's got a certain amount of hurt to it. And they said that doesn't even calculate in what the federal government is going to do with regards to their cuts. And they're telling us, well, the House has passed their bill and it's got all this stuff in it. What's bad is just hold your breath. It's because the Senate's
wanting more
entirely
Medicare
different.
cuts.
Yeah. So, so that nobody really knows where it's going to end up. But so the bottom line is that, T, one of the VPs, the regional VPs up in Northern California, was asking the question. I says, what are we going to do in terms of there's obviously going to be less money coming into the hospitals and stuff like this. And so what can we go for? I mean, obviously they talked about getting rid of nurse staffing ratios. The seismic upgrades is another one because like I said, the billions of dollars that are being forced on us when there's no need to.
Yeah.
You know, and so that would certainly save a lot of hospitals and so forth. So there's some points they're starting to put together in terms of negotiating, you know, with the legislature, stuff like that to offset some of this stuff. If it comes down and say, fine, well, then we're not gonna be able to do this stuff. And so, you know, that's what it's gonna be. So
Becker's publication said that their care is going to be increasing
for physicians,
for physician reimbursement to 2.25%.
yeah, they've been cut for so many years. It's kind of first. So I don't know. Anyway, we don't know where it's all going to end up, but that's kind of the crux of what we're hearing.
California's hurting worse. They got $33 million of reserves. What was that a year ago or so?
A year ago, and now it's down.
$1.5 million.
Yeah.
I think our biggest vulnerability is the possible loss of the IGT.
Well, that's the biggest.
If we lose it, it's keeping us afloat.
Well, just part of it would put us out of business.
Yeah.
Not losing it all.
Yeah.
We're running skinny right
I
now.
know.
And so,
And that's why it would be my recommendation if we don't get the grant, we don't proceed even at all. Because till something happens with the reimbursements to hospitals, you know, you don't want to spend the IGT monies that you have in the bank.
That's correct. Yeah, it's true.
Got to fix some critical systems that are
Yeah.
55 years old.
Well,
Right.
we might need to go and do some little odds and ends here and there.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It's a tough one. I mean, I've said most of my working life, I chose the wrong industry. I chose an industry that can barely financially make ends meet. I've been working for hospitals for 45 years. That most
you're
of the time
part of the problem.
I am part of the problem. You pay me so much money that this place.
Yeah, if we get another big earthquake too, and we
Yeah.
move closer to Bakersfield, we're gonna lose our critical access.
There you go. Yeah. But of course, you know, we might be coastal if the whole fucking thing, all the water comes up to.
Land values that go up.
Yeah, no, it's
Front property.
yes. Anyway, so that's where we're at. It's looking good at the moment for the grant and, but it's gonna take a while.
Do we do anything? I mean,
No, I'm doing everything that I can do. Pushing
yeah, you're
everybody.
doing awesome. You're doing. more than-
I'm pushing everybody to try and get everything. I wasn't happy that they didn't already have everything uploaded, but then again, I only got everything off to them like Thursday last week. So,
Pretty darn.
so it's like, anyway,
How much does the consultant costing us?
nothing.
Nothing.
Really?
The consultant is hired by Cal OES
Oh,
to help people with the grant
okay.
process.
Was that the same as the FEMA grant?
Yes.
It was same outfit?
Integrity, yes.
Okay.
Integrity Consulting.
Awesome.
That's
We're
what
not out of pocket for
No,
that.
we're not out of pocket anything
Okay.
other than just waiting. See if it comes through.
Okay.
that was the good part because they knew so much about it. Bob
Yeah,
worked with
that's
them
great.
extensively.
They,
Rick grant.
it's what they do for a living.
Okay.
And it's what they do. So they know it inside and out. And I got a very good compliment from, I don't know for sure if she's here in California because her email address has come up Washington DC. But Lisa is her name. And
Lisa Rice, yeah.
yeah, she said, this is of all the grants she's reviewed. She says, this is the tightest, most well-written grant she has ever reviewed.
Wow.
So,
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
I've got a request. Can I be the one that calls Greenbond and has to feedback?
I'm sure he'll listen to you.
If you hear a dial tone, keep talking.
He's just recording.
Wait for the laugh.
Yeah. Well,
Just
I
don't
had
send it with caller ID.
That's
He won't
that's
pick it up.
very helpful news.
Yeah,
I
that's good.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
doing all
I
right.
think I was impressed when I heard that because you don't know, you do the best you can do but to hear that back from them was. All right. Anything else on the seismic project? Sir, the admin building, we started moving in the stuff for Suite C for medical records. I have hopes to move them this week, but we'll see how it goes. I'm shuffling between getting the stuff out of E so I can start on the pharmacy versus spending time to move, to have them ready to move in. Short week. So anyway, but our plan had been to get them moved in this week. And building. And we've already started moving stuff out of Sweetie. We worked on it last week. I'd be working on it today, except I'm this meeting. So we'll start on it tomorrow.
Is in moving everything and making changes, I see a bunch of cars down there. Apparently there's people down. Is it helping a little bit with congestion here in the hospital? Or is it making any difference?
We really haven't taken any departments out of the hospital yet per se.
Yeah,
I mean, most of them have been
nothing.
like from the house up there and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because the people that are working down there were in the house. Now, I didn't bring the totals, but I totaled up all the parking spaces that we have. There's more than you would think.
Yeah. I look at that.
I want to say there's 6 along the left side of the building and there's 5 along the right side of the building. And then there's like 18 or something out front, including, 2 handicap spaces. And then of course, if we work on that dirt section between us and Red Rooster, I think there'll be plenty of parking. I mean, it would be ideal to have the lot on the other side, but so far, no one's had any luck getting.
It's not accommodating the drive-through. The drive-through would take up the spaces.
It would take up to 5 spaces on the one side.
Yeah, I talked to Candace last week about it as well, just to verify, what been told. She said, absolutely, she's fine with us going ahead and paving that out and striping it.
So,
Just to let her know in enough time so she can get the trailer moved off of there.
oh, right, yeah,
So,
she has that, yeah. But what we need to do is we're gonna have to get prices because they're gonna have to grade it and then get it paved. Has anybody heard is OnStot still doing business up here?
They seem to still have their contractors yard on the boulevard.
Well, he doesn't have that anymore.
It's
Out of the yard.
Oh,
But
Yes, they are.
but it's still up here
Frank
still.
would know.
okay.
Yeah, I said, yes, they are.
I thought
He
they
sold
were,
his lot that's on the boulevard down there though.
Oh.
To Mike Thompson across the street.
but I do also know that the times that I've had them bid work here, they were always 20% higher than the firms out of Bakersfield.
Okay.
So like Kern Asphalt, Bakersfield Asphalt, yeah. So they've always underbid on stuff. So I've got to work on getting cost proposals to do that, in the next, hopefully, few weeks. But it's, okay, anyway, so that's where we're at on that building. Retail pharmacy, we'll discuss at the end. The generator project, the engineer is finishing the last change order, and I'm also waiting for the approved drawings for the seismic bracing of the conduits through the chiller. And so once those 2 pieces are completed and done, the generator project will be complete.
Is the change order that power drop
Power to
to
the shop.
to your shop? Okay.
All right. I shot an email off to the architect the first thing this morning asking how soon he would have that submitted to HCI, and he had not responded as of the time of the meeting. So the NPC Seismic Upgrade of Dietary Surgery Central is still waiting on HCI's review and their review responses. So no change there. The dietary stove installation, gotta love it. Gotta love structural engineers. The stove sits partly on a concrete raised platform that the old stove sat on and partly on legs. And then they wanted this unistrut assembly bolted into the concrete, the stove bolts too. And so we did all of that. But when we got down to this end, the adjustable feet on that have to be anchored into the concrete, if you turn them down enough so that when the stove is level, that it reached it, just as it reached the floor, it fell off the threads. So
First it did.
all threads it did. And so what I did is I made up some really nice aluminum spacers and drilled a hole in them and just used a longer anchor bolt. Structural engineer wants a change order with them. Oh my God. Oh my God. So I just approved the submittal to HCI this morning. Review of those shims under the 2 inch.
Oh my God.
I'm just going, you have got to be kidding.
I wonder what kind of testing H guy's gonna.
Yeah, well, we already tested because the anchor bolts have a torque test.
Okay.
They have to be torqued to a certain setting. And I went with a longer bolt because you have the tile floor, then you have grout, 1.5 inches of grout, and then you have the hard rock concrete. So we have to be 2.5 inches into the hard rock concrete. So I just used longer bolts of the same design. Tensile straight stainless steel and all the things that they had in there. So I'm waiting on approval of my change order for this.
And they want
For the
to
shims.
how bigger bolts.
Oh, they're only 3/8 of an inch.
But the stove, they're using it, right?
Oh, yes.
It's functional and.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's working great. It's just one of those things. I got that email last week and I just got to be kidding.
Oh my God.
I sent them pictures, shim plates. So that's yeah. So eventually I will be able to close that project. Such a huge job. 6 anchor bolts and put a stove in. That requires that. I haven't heard anything yet from HCI on this reclassification of skilled nursing. It's also waiting on HCI. And so we haven't done anything on dietary because we're just, everything is focused on getting the admin building, several entities, and the rollover of the grant. It's been taking a lot of my time. We did go in while I was waiting. We are working on one of the acute care rooms, fixing it up, cleaning it, getting rid of the old funky ceiling tile. That should be done today. Then I'm going to roll it back into working on the next project, which is retail pharmacy. So we want to see if that scan worked, Heidi.
Something up on the screen before.
So I've had like 3 or 4 meetings with the pharmacists and SUDA signing space. So,
Can we blow that up?
well, can we rotate it left or counterclockwise?
You might be able to do it better.
On the right.
Just want to get to the picture. I don't know if we can get rid of that stuff left side there.
Yeah, but we needed to rotate, yeah, that direction and merge it. So this is the design that I have come up with. Down.
The bottom
Straight
is
from
the
the
west side,
Is it
correct?
Sweet.
Yes,
Sweet.
the bottom of the picture is towards the Red Rooster. So, we'll go down one. No, I meant. So
Oh, yeah,
things there, one size.
Pretty close.
Down, bring it down. Up. Okay, so this is the front of the building here. And so, this right here is Suite E, and this is Suite D. And so, the basic flow is that the people picking up prescriptions come in this door. They can also come in this door, and this is retail space. So they wanted to have more retail space for over the counter stuff. So this is cabinet work and stuff here. This window is more related to the retail. They wanted 3 windows, so we have 3 windows. They wanted a console room. And then so deliveries come in this back door. They have a place to sit the bulk boxes as they come in. Then they go into bulk storage. This is where they order from. We're enlarging this bathroom from this size to this size to be ADA accessible. And in doing that, it allows me to bring the plumbing over and to install a sink right here, which is where they put together the liquid prescriptions. Because I need a sink place to mix. So that's done right here. So it comes in. This is all drug storage. Then the girls that take the orders and all that, they are on these workstations. And on this side is where they fill the prescriptions. So in the cabinets underneath is where they have the pill bottles and where it says fill stations here. And so they fill them. So they get the drugs from here, fill them. They come over here to the pharmacist counter and they verify the prescription that it's right. And then they place it in these racks here in the bags. And then these girls at the window, all they have to do is turn around, pick up the bag and dispense. This space here is where the skilled nursing medications are put together. So there's a counter for with the sealer pill pocket equipment. The one guy that works at the desk, the other guy works at this one, and then across the back wall is adjustable shelving where they put all the finished pill pockets ready to come up here. Currently, they have about this much of wall space, but they don't have enough wall space and shelves if we increase our utilization of skilled nursing back up into the 70s. So I've given them enough additional space to do that. And then peripherally, there's an office here for SUDA and there's a break room. These originally were 2 exam rooms for the doctor. So we already got plumbing right here. So it's real easy just to reinstall a sink, refrigerator, and a little table for their break space. There's a room back here, which houses your IT rack up high, but they'll put their record storage there. And that meets everything on their list.
Where's the space for the robot?
I was just gonna bring that up.
Well, if I can't create a space for the robot for someday that it would just plug in. So in other words, what the robot is going to end up. So basically, the robot would more than likely sit here. And we would have to, relocate some workstations because the fill stations go away if you have the robot.
Not all of them.
Not all of them, but again, you have 3 stations here. Yeah, you have 9 total stations, of which currently they only have 5. So obviously this is designed for growth. So if we were to put the robot in, it would, and these are just cabinets. I mean, they could just come out and be, and we don't know if we're going to have a pickup window. Pharmacist down there says you put in a window. He says, I don't work here anymore. He's that blunt about it. I guess he's worked at pharmacies that have them. And he says, wants nothing to do with it. And it's not once he said that, it's 3 times he told me.
The new technology will be much simpler and much more effective.
This thing.
One other thing, Bob,
Yes.
was there's the snip robot too, that we had looked at.
But that would come in here.
That's all I was gonna say was
Yes.
obviously go in there, but is there, it looks like a big space.
It's a big
It's a
expense.
big space.
Yes.
Just because I think that would streamline things. I think it would personally, I think it would streamline things.
Yeah. I mean, let's put it this way. There's plenty of room that if we go to switch over to the robot, we can.
Does the entire space is it secure enough for the entire medication? All the
Well-
doors locked and bars and everything.
Okay, so obviously I'll be working on that. We have all of these windows here and here. My thought is to create security on the inside where it's not visible on the outside. So it'd be a matter, I've got to have a shop make up some bars, so to speak.
But that'll work, that'll satisfy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And the back doors are fine.
well, I'm gonna replace the back doors only because they're a little rusty, but they're already steel doors, frames. Accessible from the outside. So the only way to come in this door is to have somebody from the inside open it.
Bob, we want to, again, because just thinking about our original design that we had, because floodplain issues were to put those drop doors in there. Is that something we want to consider?
Well,
They don't have to be in unless it's a 500-year flood. so,
Right,
but
yeah.
At least county seeing this thing.
Well, let's put it this way. What was on the original drawings was that we would take out a little bit of the asphalt at each of these back doors. And we would pour a nice level pad. And then there, somewhere stored in the building would be these little barriers that kind of just hook to the building and create a barrier about this high around the back door.
Are you just putting holes in the one wall? Or you just put?
Yeah, so this is the wall
Passage.
between the two suites.
Right.
So we're cutting an opening here and a window opening here and an opening here.
And what about,
And removing this section.
and you're using, the, all those sections that we got from the dam project to separate the cubicles.
There's actually no cubicles here.
Oh, okay.
There's very little construction. Okay, you see the walls that I've darkened here, that little piece, that little piece, that little piece. That's all we're building. Every other wall is already there. Okay.
Did we verify, Bob, whether the wall,
No.
the edge, whether it goes
Okay.
up? I just.
It will.
It will go up.
If it doesn't, it will.
Okay. I want to make sure that
We're talking about security between that suite and this
this
suite.
goes all the way.
We had verified that this wall goes all the way up. Busy, so I didn't get verified that one before this meeting, but if it doesn't, it will.
Yeah.
It's easily done.
And then I know that one pharmacist is saying no on the drive, but is it able to be converted in the event that? Well, you have to do it.
Yes.
anyway?
The drive-through window would be right here.
And that's able to be put in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as an alternative to drive-through,
Now,
because we're gonna lose a bunch of parking spaces if we do that. Can we not just have a call button at a, specified parking space out front and the staff
Exactly what
brings
we
it
do
out?
now.
Yeah, like we're
Yes.
doing now.
Yes, it's on her list. I mean, I didn't show the parking spaces in this picture, but she, in her request is that for 2 spaces for drive up
Okay,
pickup.
okay,
Yes. And so we'll do the same.
all right.
we're gonna pick up, what, about 10 spaces between us and Red Rooster?
Yeah, I would think so because we can double
That.
Where is the property line? Or between Red Rooster?
Well, there's 2 property lines and it's both edges of that dirt lot.
So the dirt part of it, is that a separate little lot?
Separate little lot
Her
that's
parents.
owned by her parents.
You couldn't do nothing with it.
No, it's a tiny little lot. Now, I'm not saying it might not go a few feet into her asphalt, but I doubt it goes any into ours because that would have been the property line. Well, and it lines up with our driveway. Yeah, everything lines up. So it's a tiny little lot. So nothing could ever be built there. Except maybe a drive-through coffee shop or something.
Yeah, next adventure.
No. I built the Starbucks at San Joaquin. We don't need one.
So the owner of the lot is good with us paving it and we just share that parking area?
Yeah,
between the two?
because our busy times are during the week, right? Because we're not even open on the weekend,
Right,
and her busy times on the weekend.
okay,
So she actually,
We'll be
she
open
gains.
Saturday.
perfect.
Right.
Right.
If Rite Aid closes, we will be open.
Should be doing
Saturday.
And we may,
No way.
but we won't have all the
We
rest of
don't have
the people at
everybody
the
else
building.
in the building. where
Yeah,
right.
All the rest of the departments will be closed.
Right.
So obviously there will be some spaces marked out for the pharmacy right out front door. We'll get more of the accounting people to park around on the left side. Nobody parks there now, but there's 6 spaces there.
And we're still trying to reach out to the owner of the lot next door, trying to find out.
Yeah.
If we can do anything over there.
So anyway, so I think it meets all of the needs that they have requested. Anything that I can think of. It's
Check with the board of pharmacy.
Yeah, she's already got the application started. She's
Yeah.
supposed to be sending it to us. There's just some governance issues, ownership issues. So I don't had her send it to me. So you and I will go through that part.
But she's got some finance things. She needs to see some numbers. on
Yeah.
it. Expected.
But that can't be submitted until this is ready to go.
Yes, so what happens is I will modify those couple of walls. I'll carpet the place and paint it. And then we have to move in the cabinets. And once it's, I mean, there might be a couple of counters that would move over from the old place, but most of it's what. And so I've already located a supplier, inexpensive supplier for the cabinets. I'm already working on totals for that. And it's mainly like where they store the drugs, those 3 rows of 7-inch deep metal shelving, inexpensive, just off-white,
Right.
plain Jane. But this company does specifically an entire line just for pharmacy.
Huh.
And so for the cabinets, instead of being the normal counter height, they're 40 inches because that's the height of the counters where pharmacists work. So the cabinets are 39, each counter on top.
Huh.
And
There's no need for special hoods and stuff.
nope. They do nothing in there that
No
requires
compounding here.
no compounding.
We can do the moving and everything, like you said.
Yeah, so my thought is that we get it painted and carpeted. We set the cabinets and counters. And then Board of Pharmacy blesses it, comes and tours it, blesses it. Once they bless it, my understanding is we have 48 hours to move.
24.
24, yeah, something like
We'll
that.
have to get the computers all set up because they want to
Yeah.
see that you can actually operate it
Oh,
when they're here, but even though they know.
We'd have to have at least
there.
some workstations set
We
up.
have 24 hours to get it from there to over here.
Huh.
But otherwise it has to be fully operational.
we don't.
So it's less than 4 years
A little bit.
to get it.
Is it under 25,000 still somehow?
Well, but you have to understand, that's why I said I'm only modifying a couple of walls and carpeting in place.
It'd be cheaper just to go to Rite Aid and gut what's behind their walls and take it.
Might be.
I got a flat base.
Late at night,
No problem.
we get the drugs too.
All
That's
right,
right.
that'll work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then where's education end up being?
Well, we brainstormed several options, and in talking with education, they have a concern about being down there
Too far away?
because a lot of their training is with nurses. So nurses, they have a hard enough time getting them to come to this building, okay, from just inside. If they got to go all the way down there, it's more of an issue. So there's multiple options, but one of them would be the Lee Hill building right across the street. The other option is that we move HR. Just throwing things out there. We could move pharmacy. We could gut that pharmacy building, clean it all up, pretty it up, take the bars off the windows, move HR there. I mean, that could be an option. HR could move to the Lee Hill building, put administration in the house, or vice versa, put administration in the Lee Hill building along with education.
Okay.
So there's a lot of possible solutions to education now.
Do we still need an HR? Haven't we hired pretty much everybody we need?
Yeah, we could just call it quits. We don't have any turnover.
Yeah, that is.
Yep. Everything's just online now. You just put an application on your phone.
So this looks like a great plan. What's your time frame? Think by the end of summer or sooner than that?
Consider that.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't have a lot to build.
Yeah.
I had to keep it that way. That's why I kept working and working to use every existing wall that I could.
That's great.
Because I'm not going to go over that $25,000.
And even though we're looking at 2 suites, which would have, we actually got, we got 50,000.
So you know,
But it's
one
one project.
of my customers
So
works
we
at
didn't want
Rite
to
Aid.
do that. We want to stay within the 12.
She was told to be prepared for any day after June the 16th to be.
I see in Facebook and they're talking about Lake Isabella Central. I think Mount Mesa is more central. I don't know the exact demographics of each annex and rural areas and everything. But to me, it seems like we're more central than any place.
It's not tonight.
Do you know?
To be honest with you, my opinion, it's critical that we have. I could give a damn if it was in Kernville or here or Lake Isabella. Just the fact that we have it and it's up and operational is what's critical. Especially if the fact that we stop fiddle farting around and we get this delivery in.
Yeah, get the delivery thing the mail delivery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The longer
Did
we
enough
screw
around.
with that, it's
Yeah.
not hurts.
Luckily, I don't have to worry about that.
You're right.
That's not you.
It's not me.
Give it time. It might be.
Yeah. Anyway, so I am hoping to actually start working in the area, hopefully by next week.
Okay.
And, anyway, so, I mean, I've been going 90 mile an hour on it because I'm already working on the design of the cabinets to go in each of the types of safe. I printed them all out. I've gone down and reviewed all of the options of the cabinets with the staff down there. And all these.
And they're all good with this
Yes.
design? Okay.
The sniff layout could shift a little, but like I told them, we're gonna put power and data on all the walls and, yeah. All I'm telling them is you've got way more space than you've got now.
Seems like the bigger challenge is just the bathroom.
Yes, actually, the biggest job I have is that bathroom. Yes, that's the biggest, that's probably 50% of the construction work right there.
Okay.
It's that bathroom.
Those ugly signs. We want to have a decent image.
Exactly.
Those signs sort of spoil the image.
Okay, so I talked to Scott Kissick about the sign for the bowling alley. And he said that the church had also gone down this road because it says cocktails on there. No, it's just, anyway. And of course, the father just passed away. Right. Which doesn't help anything either. But the father was adamant. Okay. So when her father was young, he worked down at the Kissick Ranch. Okay. And I'm giving you the whole story. He worked down at the Kissick Ranch. He was friends with Scott's grandfather. And Scott's grandfather gave him the sign. Put the sign in on that property for the bowling alley.
Is it in writing?
No, okay, it is not in writing. But he says when he and the church approached the owner of the bowling alley, they were adamantly opposed to losing the sign. So he says, but there's nothing in writing. So he says, if you want to just bulldoze the sign, you can. But he says, you're gonna not make some people happy.
Well, if they want to leave it, just make it a decent looking sign. There's nothing wrong with it other than it's just so screwed up. I mean, it's just,
Well, there's a smaller sign, there's a smaller sign below it that is technically our sign.
yeah, it's ours.
But I don't know that we even need that or want that. Because my thought is that on the front of the building, we will do a new Mesa Clinical Pharmacy sign that's internally lit and all done up
Should
professionally.
we agree to take that one out? Because you're right, it's just a waste and it's
Yeah.
ugly enough.
You mean the one that is
The
ours?
little- Yeah.
A littler.
Yeah.
We can.
Sure.
Do we need a motion to
No.
do that?
Nope.
But as far as you would have to decide as a group if you want to piss off.
It's
The owner.
fine to stay there, but she's gonna have to fix it. Make it look, put a new sign in there.
Well, her
Or
sign
clean it
looks fine. It's our sign that looks like shit.
No, her
Yeah,
sign
hers
fix
is
shit too.
So
It's dated, it's wore out, it just
Replace the plastic.
needs to be
anyway,
refreshed.
but that is what I found out.
Thank you.
So you will remove the.
I'll
the
remove
little
this,
ones.
the smaller one needs to go. It isn't gonna do us any good.
Could we do a temporary sign that says future home of Mesa Clinical Pharmacy?
Can we
Well, we-
duct tape it on the window so it's official like the one in the.
And I can handwrite it like.
Get that guy to tag the window.
Go. We can just,
Spray paint.
we could, and actually they're supposed to come out this week and replace that glass. That little piece of glass costs $2,000.
I was actually being serious.
No, but we could certainly have a banner made.
Just something out there so people know that it's
We
moving.
can have a
it
banner
creates
made that
good.
we could put up on the building that says this is the future home of Mesa Clinical Pharmacy.
They're gonna know that's where it's gonna be, so they don't. It eliminates any rumors. I guess what I'm trying to.
You're dreaming.
I'm thinking by the time we get that banner, they're gonna be moving in.
Might be.
I'll go to Kinko's today.
Got a sign company in Bakersfield that, anytime I call, just do it.
You can just do it online and have it here in the morning.
Right.
That's true.
Well, I make them up on the computer and I just email it off to them and they shoot me a quote. I pick it up.
John, do you have any questions for Bob?
Stuff all the time.
No, just I'm pretty excited that it's all moving forward with the pharmacy. I know that we've been talking about it, especially with ever since the Turnbow Pharmacy closed and everything going on with Rite Aid. I just think it's pretty crucial that we get this going as soon as possible. So I'm at least excited to hear the progress on it. So thanks, Bob, for that update.
I think it's good for the.
I'm gonna try and, you don't hold me to it, but I'm gonna try and get this done in like 8 weeks.
Great, great.
Like I said, we got to get all this stuff out this week and then we'll get in there and.
Put that same carpet in, that same flooring.
Yeah. So, I'll have Bakersfield Flooring sell us the carpet and install it. The installation price was half of what we were paying up here.
Right.
So I don't see there's any need to, which the locals who doesn't even have insurance still.
Yeah.
My knowledge.
You have to change the parking to handicap spaces as a grandfather. You don't have to have.
We're making no change to the building, so the handicap spaces that are there are gonna remain. I mean, we're gonna restripe everything.
Will that accommodate what we need? I mean, what?
Yeah, there's a handicap space, there's 2 handicap spaces on each corner of the building. So there's 4 total.
Yeah, that should,
So that's enough.
John keeps parking in them.
Yeah, John Park's in one of them.
You are?
Yeah. It's got blue on the curb.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah. That's all right. It's only a $500 fine. I had a doctor in Baker. Go ahead.
Actually, Fred, I had one more question for Bob that just came up. So since you just talked about the handicap, Bob, did you say at the last minute there was maybe a problem with the handicapped accessible bathrooms in the building, or was that kind of grandfathered in too?
Well, I am making one of these handicapped accessible. We are not providing any bathrooms for the public. And this is also at the request of the pharmacy. Do not give a bathroom to the public. And I can tell you from my wife working at the thrift store in town that the public uses that restroom and then they go in there and find drug paraphernalia all over and you just don't want to provide something if you don't have to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely.
But if we were to hire somebody in the pharmacy who was in a wheelchair, we would have an accessible bathroom. Yeah.
Is there one available for the rest of the building?
No, we would have to create one. There are some that are close.
Right.
Well, because the other suites have that back hallway that connects all of them. And there are a couple of bathrooms that the church made larger that come really, really close to being ADA accessible.
You're big, they
This-
should handle it, don't they?
This won't connect with the other suites though, will it?
Not at all.
Okay, this is just a standalone, just the pharmacy.
Yes.
Okay.
Has to be.
Wouldn't it be prudent to go ahead and make one of those other ones handicap accessible?
Yeah,
Even
well,
if
well,
it's
they-
close, we could make one a little smaller and one a little bigger.
I have to look at it, but it's close to being accessible. The problem is the codes, probably when it was made an accessible bathroom, it met code, but they keep changing those codes, the spaces get bigger. And so it may lack a few inches for the turnaround circle.
Those grandfather.
We don't want, it's my grandfather, we have an employee down there. He's in Title II.
Yeah.
Handicap bathroom, and we
Right,
could
I
end
agree.
up where we don't want to be.
Fine for it.
Yeah, in 45 years, I've had one employee of the hospital who was in a wheelchair. She was a young lady that was a paraplegic from a 3-wheeler accident over Pismo. And so what we did is we remodeled her entire work area, made it all accessible. And so by the time she was ready to come back to work, she had everything she needed the way she wanted it.
Looks good.
Any other?
Getting there.
Yep. Gene, any other questions?
Well, back to the handicap thing.
Yeah.
If it's, an auditor comes in or whatever, they're working there. I think we have to provide them with if they're.
Well, let me look at some of those other bathrooms. I have not actually measured them out and if they meet the requirements or not.
I don't agree with you always, but on that, I'm on it. No, I mean, it's
Some
seriously.
agree with me.
No, yeah, we do, we should have one on that side.
Well, and I
There's a
think we
lot of
have,
people
I think
working
we have
out there.
something that's close.
You are gonna have visitors from time to time
Yeah.
with patients coming in once
We
they
don't
hurt,
want
and things like that.
Because
We really do need it.
they're educated about it and they know how to get to us and we don't.
Is that front step up? 88.
There's a ramp on each end.
Okay.
It's hard, it already slopes down
Okay.
to flush with
By the
the.
way, let me rephrase that. It's properly angled.
It is probably slightly steeper than the requirement. Because I know that when the architect had drawn plans, they showed saw cutting it out and making the ramp just slightly, just this much longer.
One of the reasons I asked that is if you go to my building, we had to do that at the door.
Yeah. Well, and we may want to do that before it's all said and done. We may want to, on that corner of the building.
Yeah.
Redo the ramp, so that's got that 2% slope.
Thank you. All right, moving on, item F, invoice review.
I make a motion, we pay them as presented. I went through them and I'll put them in.
But didn't you like the first one? It's a doozy.
The first one's a little, but it's probably our last
Yeah, but
kind of big one for the
but it's
generator project.
legitimate. It's in there.
I'm doing them all myself, making sure that going through and matching all of the previous payments and everything to make. Because I was having the girl do it before and I've actually found a couple mistakes, but nothing that we paid wrong, just the numbers on the sheet didn't compute. So I had to go back and refigure.
Motion, do we get a second? I'll second. Okay. John, your vote?
Yes.
Mr. Parks?
Yes.
Mr. Elliott?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Okay. I don't know why it's just.
Well, we had 9 and item G were kind of the same.
Yeah, they are the same. They're on the list.
Can we go over it twice?
Would you like to discuss the handicap a little more?
All right. With that said, at 1:58, we are adjourned. John, be safe over there.
Wait, it's 4:58 over here.
No problem.
Happy hour.
You're done. Take the rest of the day off, John.
Thanks, Brett.
Got it.
We'll see you soon. All right.
That's her.
That's her.
Do we have to?
We may call.
Ed Qual. but-
Yeah.
I don't know what meeting's
I know
next.
that, but who will?
I just know it's-
From the-
Who sits on it?
Yeah, I'm supposed to show up for Catherine tonight.